Good evening, folks. Welcome to BS Session 58. Don't adjust your television sets. We really are the best thing you've seen all day.
This right here has the ability with a 30 caliber clip to disperse with 30 bullets within half a second.
Just when I think you couldn't possibly be any dumber.
You're listening to your weekly dose of BS, ballistically speaking. The Ballistically Speaking Podcast.
That's us. We're live.
Okay.
Here we go. Let's do it.
Excellent. Hey, so before we get into it, I'm going to do a little bit of whining again. Did you guys hear that the music with that little intro video and all that kind of stuff?
Yep.
Okay. So
Yeah.
I don't know what the hell's going on. This is like the fourth episode in a row that I haven't been able to. There's something really funky going on with my end of things.
I think both of us are just going to have to wire our connections before the next show.
Yeah.
We keep trying to do this on wireless, and it's just not going to work.
Yeah.
It's no bueno.
No bueno. No. All right. How are you guys? Luke Grindy. Listen, look at this modest bastard. Hey, first place contestant at King of 2 Miles Canada 2023. Like, aren't you the champ?
Yeah. So
Well, I don't.
Great, man.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd say I'm the champ. I mean, that just happened, guys. You know, I went there and I tried my best, and the outcome was in my favor. That's all I can say.
All right, I've heard enough from you, Steve. How you doing?
I'm good. Busy.
I fixed his name.
Yes, that's better. You could do that, actually. We got a missing contestant there now. Steve got rid of him.
Disappeared.
He got tied up in the lathe.
Well, he had to take a call from work, so
Oh,
he's scared of the limelight. I get it. Stage fright is a thing. It affects us all.
yeah. I remember Kurt's first episode.
Yeah?
Was he deer in the headlights?
Pretty much, yeah.
like way back in the what the hell was it?
Mid 2000s.
What?
Which episode are you talking about? A podcast episode or some sort of other episode?
Well, you've had many episodes, but I think it was
Well, yeah.
the fifth or sixth podcast.
For which podcast?
That was the gunning around days, you mean?
I was going to say, there's so many reiterations of this that it's hard to keep track.
Now, stay focused.
Wow. Shots fired. You got to admit, though, every iteration has been better than the last.
Definitely, and I think this is the best one so far.
I agree. Because of this guy and this guy.
And your wonderful sponsors.
And wonderful sponsors like this guy.
All the people working behind the scenes.
Yeah.
All right, enough horseshit. Should we get into the nitty gritty, the obligations?
Are we gonna pay the bills, or are we just gonna start talking to Luke?
Let's pay the bills,
rest of
and
the
then
episode,
we can open up the floor.
I think it probably is only fitting that we refer to him as Your Highness for the remainder of the episode.
We could do that, yeah. His
Mostly
Eminence.
because I'm just getting a feeling that it makes him like embarrassed. So
I think so too.
that's why we should do it. Okay, you go first. I'll follow your lead.
All right, tonight's episode brought to you, as always, by EM Precision Rifles in Leduc, Alberta. Building Canada's finest precision rifles. Commission a build today at emprifles.ca.
You guys are.
Oh man, Luke's not delayed that bad, is he? Oh no, this is gonna be fucking awesome,
Right? that's the goal here, eh?
Oh, that almost seemed like several minutes of delay for Luke. I hope not.
Yeah.
Maybe this is how he won. By the time he actually got around to it, the win call had gone back to what it was.
Full circle wind call. That should go on a T-shirt. Full circle wind call.
Where the fuck is Steve going now? We're losing all of our guests here.
I had to let John back in.
Lord.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, we're also brought to you by Bolt Action Coffee, bringing specialty coffee to the precision shooting world. Order coffee and merchandise at boltactioncoffee.com.
And call sign 66, Canada's best rifle training. Welcome to the Brotherhood. Book a course with them now at callsign66.ca.
And Odell Engineering, pick up a Canuck shotgun or a Bergera rifle from your local distributor and tell them Phil sent you. Look them up at OdellEngineeringLTD.com.
All right, Apex Optics. When you buy Apex, Jesus Christ. When you buy Apex,
Apple.
precision comes standard. I'll get off my tongue here right away. Find them at apexoptics.co. Have a look. We have landed products, don't we? Now the
I believe the Hunter
are
has arrived and
on
I
the
think
shelves. Yeah,
I think it's to fill the pre-orders has arrived.
right.
I think
Right.
that they're waiting for another shipment to arrive that should hopefully still be here for October. Last we heard it was for October.
Okay. And there was it one of the binos or was it the LPVO that was supposed to be coming shortly after? I can't remember.
It's probably the Edge, the LPVO.
Yeah, right. Okay.
But I don't know for 100. That's a phrase.
Say that again.
I don't know for 100.
Oh, moving on. I
Thank
see
you.
we have
Let's do that.
Ribstone Gunsmithing here.
Yes.
Craftsmanship done right.
Yep.
Contact Oscar at ribstonegunsmithing.ca and breathe life back into any firearm.
That's an excellent idea.
Scope stock and old man sayings and whatever you brought up there. Let's go.
I think it was a Gen Z thing, or maybe it wasn't. I could have just made it completely up. Hey, we're also brought to you by the Shooting Edge in Calgary, Alberta, home of the Sterling Arms R18. The shooting sports retail store with indoor range education and training, laser engraving, fine firearms, and so much more, including a new 6-lane axe throwing bay and what we are calling unofficially or officially, I don't know, the One Shot One Spill Cafe. Find them on Facebook
now.
Is it now? Okay, good.
Yeah.
On Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter/X, and their website at theshootingedge.com.
I even put the One Shot One Spill Cafe in the ticker tape along the bottom.
Love it. Hey, and speaking of the Sterling R18, we should talk about that for at least a minute or two at some point tonight. But
Sure.
let's.
Well, how about you pick that up right after we read the final one?
Okay.
Final sponsor here. March Scopes Canada. The Dion Optical Design Line of Rifle Scopes has a scope for all your hunting and shooting needs. Find Doug and Nisa at marchscopes.ca. And no, Jonathan, that's not Calais or Night Force. March Scopes Canada. March Scopes.
March.
March.
What are you saying? I should buy one of those?
I'm not saying anything. Really. It's Okay, so do you want to take this opportunity now, Chris, to talk about your
Sure. Well, the second part 2
R18?
of the Sterling Arms R18
Right.
6.5 Grendel conversion video just went up like 15 or 10 minutes before we went live here. So it's a rocky start, but we're filming the whole thing. We're not hiding anything that's going on with this thing. We took a rifle that's designed to be sold as a complete rifle, and we started putting aftermarket parts on it that frankly weren't even made for that rifle. They were made for a different similar rifle. And
Franken rifle.
A Franken rifle, and we thought it would be a great idea in the name of caliber conversion. And I'm convinced that it is a good idea, but we are running into some hiccups. So if anybody wants, we've got part 1 and part 2 are up on the YouTubes. It's not going well. It's not going bad. Our velocities are good, but our accuracy is.
We have a few tricks up our sleeves though for that. I think
we're gonna fix a few things. Yeah, we're having to backyard machine both of the aftermarket parts that we put in that rifle, both the rifle and the bolt, the only two aftermarket parts. Both of them are coming up short.
Well, okay, so we talked about this before a couple episodes ago. I think that we have a good idea of what's going on there, and all it's going to take is a little massaging, a little
Yeah.
bit of oversight for use with the 6.5 Grendel versus the 223. So that bolt was just kind of repurposed for 6.5 Grendel, right? So
Correct.
that bolt face recession there, where the rim fits in the thicker rim on the Grendel. The firing pin being just a little bit longer to suit the 223 for the shallower recess.
Yep.
That's
already been fixed, obviously.
Yeah, I've done that, and then we need to pay attention to your extractor now. So not a big deal, but it's good things to know, I guess, right?
Well, actually, we need to pay
For that
attention to
for
the
said
extractor.
conversion.
We need to pay attention to the extractor, and we need to massage the feed ramps on the barrel.
I can do that. I got a Dremel and some carbide burrs. No issue at all.
By the way,
Great
I
feed.
think Jens is referring to the piston, not the push rod.
No, he's push rod, whatever. Yeah.
Or is he referring to I don't know what he's referring to.
Oh, the what is it? The 3-piece rod on that thing, op rod.
2-piece, but yeah.
2-piece? Is it only? Okay.
2-piece. It's been a while since I've had it apart.
How about
No,
we
it
pay
is.
some
It is
attention to our guests?
It's 3-piece. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's talk to our guests now.
All right. Today we have with us the 2023 King of 2 Miles Canada champion, Luke Grindy. How the heck are you, buddy?
Good. Yeah, no, I'm good. And how are all you guys?
We're all right.
You're good. Perfect.
So have you come down yet? A little bit from that high?
Yeah, well, it took a while to actually believe that it happened. I mean,
Right.
when a guy goes to a competition like that is your first competition, and you're just going there humbly to learn things from people, and then you end up going home with the first prize trophy. That's a little bit surreal. It's hard to believe, and it took about a week to really gather my thoughts and believe that it actually even happened.
It's funny that way. I've never really experienced that myself, but I can envision what you're talking about.
Yeah, right.
Well, that's good. It was good to see you up there. It was good to see a guy with a good sense of humility get up there and win that. And you could have been that guy that new to the competition, don't really know a whole lot of people. I've seen them before. They kind of stick to themselves. That they're kind of the lone wolf out there, sort of thing. But you were at least sociable and talking with people, and like you say, you went there to learn, and that was obvious from what I saw, that trying to talk to us and get all the good dope and shit. I'm sure that's why you probably won. I'll get past that eventually.
Like you said, I just waited for the wind call to make a full turn, full revolution, to come back to
Right.
luck of the draw.
Was it now? Now let's talk about that. How so I'm kind of putting you on the spot here a little bit, because I'm quite certain in a way it's going to be entertaining, but take us through your preparation for King of 2 Miles.
Well, it wasn't that long of a preparation, really. I mean, I only started shooting
That's what I'm driving at.
about a year ago. So
Wait a minute. You only started shooting period a year ago?
yeah,
Or ELR?
So, no. So I'll give you a quick bit of my backstory. If you want more, I can give you more later. But I grew up in the Yukon, out in the mountains, but we shot just 22s and stuff, go for grouse hunting and rabbit hunting, right? So it was 20 meters away. I mean, you're in the bush, right? There's no such thing as a long range shot. Everything's right in front of your face. So, I mean, it was literally, I moved to Alberta 2007, and I haven't shot anything since then until last spring. I bought a 223 and thought, oh, this is fun. You know, I'm having fun. Right away, my son and I were out shooting out to 500 meters. It's not much, but I thought this is a blast. So I got a 6.5 Creedmoor, realized that, you know, could easily shoot fairly well out to like 800 meters. Like we were just learning as we were going. Hey, and this was literally last May, just over a year ago. So then I was looking for I wanted a high quality rifle. So my wife found EM Precision. So, and I'm not tech savvy, so that's why I say my wife found. So she finds EM Precision and says, oh, phone this number. So I phoned Shane one evening at probably 8:30 or something. He awkwardly picks up the phone and says, yeah, who are you? What, can I help you? And I said, well, are you EM Precision?
So, wow, Shane, that's professional.
Right. So long story.
Call back and talk to our services line.
Yeah. Right?
Look, my partner Steve doesn't give me overtime, and you're calling me after hours. What the fuck do you want?
Yeah, Steve, this is probably your fault. So, anyways, guys, this was I don't know, mid July or something, and then Shane said, yeah, stop by. So I literally stopped by his place that evening after our little 5-minute awkward phone call. And he says, what are you looking for? And I kind of gave him a quick rundown. I said, I want a really awesome rifle that can shoot, you know, at least 1 kilometer. So we went through some ideas and came up with the 300 PRC. So I ordered that from him, a KDEX build, full KDEX build. And then that showed up late August or something. So I started shooting it right away. And then I got having fun with that. And in September, I ordered the 375 enabler. So a real quick procession here.
Wow.
No kidding.
Yeah. The enabler only came in March of 2023. And I have never reloaded anything. I've never shot past 1 kilometer at all. And I had to learn how to reload. I bought all the gear for it and found what components I could find and went to work.
Wow. Well, I've heard that it's
so
child's
yeah, literally,
play,
guys.
anyway.
I haven't shot my enabler until I went down there at the ELR training camp. I had my first 110 rounds through it is all. And the furthest I've shot was a few rounds out to 1 kilometer. Most of it was just trying to do load development. Yeah, most of that was just doing load development. So it literally crazy.
So what you're saying is everyone else is just overthinking it.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
I have no idea. Well, no, I'm pretty meticulous at what I do. And I dove deep into the whole reloading thing, like November of 2022, because I knew I ordered that enabler and I had to. So I don't know. I mean, I studied a lot, like many, many nights late into the night. And I listened to a lot of different shows through the day at work. You know, running equipment is what I do. So I can listen to podcasts and stuff. So I did a lot of studying, but like I never have. That's about it, right? I mean, I've never shot.
I suppose the next thing you're going to tell me is that you bought a Lee anniversary kit to reload on. And that's what you're running with so far to beat everyone at King of 2 Miles. Just to throw salt in that wound.
No, I bought some pretty good gear. Like everybody said to shoot ELR that I had listened to or asked questions, you know, everyone said you need pretty good equipment, and being meticulous and whatever, I like good equipment anyways. I do a lot of heavy duty mechanicking, hey, so I run a lot of I know what good tools are.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've got some good reloading equipment, but I'm a rookie reloader. I've just learned how to use it, but
she's a deep dark hole, son.
Yeah, no, I know every time now that I'm kind of into it, every time I get looking and I, you know, type in something there on YouTube or whatever, and then another tool shows up and I think, golly, man, this stuff never ends.
Just don't buy a press on Shane's recommendation.
That's because he's too strong, remember, Rooster?
Was that what it is? Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
That's what he's blaming it on anyways.
Yeah.
Explain that one.
Oh, he broke I think it was 2 RCBS summits.
Yeah.
2.
Yeah, 2 of them. Apparently they have a weak point. I don't know. Ham-fisted Shane found him.
Well, I've got the same press for my enablers Shane has. Hey, let me see. What's the brand here? It's right behind me. It's the Redding. I think it's the Redding Big Boss.
Oh, that's a better press.
Jane's
Yeah,
got he's got the same one. He broke it. Yeah, he told me that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, he's got an Ultra Mag now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, is that okay?
Has he broken the Ultra Mag yet?
No, I don't think
I
he
don't
could.
think so. Needs a bigger hammer for that.
Yeah.
You know, I
That's
remember
what-
Kurt
Well, that's
telling he needs a bigger
what was that?
hammer.
Yeah.
That's what Kerry tells him also. He needs a bigger hammer.
Well, I'm certain of that. Boom.
Yeah, he says bad dies and bad press. I don't know which one he's talking about, but yeah, upgraded to the Ultra Mag. Can we just stop for a second and look at this pretentious photo of Shane?
Yeah, that's not at all, is it?
On the phone, he's like, I'm a man of many talents. You know, the city's in the background. He's man about town, that guy.
Okay, Luke. So what then did you concentrate on? Obviously, you didn't have a whole lot of time with that 375 enabler, um, and your load development. We kind of went through that. What's your what are you running for components in that? And then um, what I had been a fly on the wall about was the conversation over how you dealt with the wind on that final day. I want to know. I want to know sort of what your strategy was there. Uh, kind of kind of walk us through that whole progression. Like you didn't have a whole lot of time, so the way I think about situations like that. I need to concentrate on sort of high level items here. We'll bypass a lot of the sort of fundamental stuff and jump right into higher level um, pursuits, however you want to label that. Where did you go with that? You had how much prep time?
I phoned Jamie Barkwell at Cadex about, it might have been a month before 2 Mile, because I found that there's a quick story coming here. So I was having a hard time with this thing, like doing everything I could do consistently, and it was shooting kind of sporadic, and it was picking up velocity very rapidly between literally each shot. So I was a little bit worried that this thing's going crazy. Like I keep having to bring my powder charge down, yada, yada, yada. I phoned Jamie. He said, well, it's a new barrel. These things are kind of known for picking up velocity like that and whatever. And it's your virgin brass. He said, just don't worry about it. You know, kind of we ran through that stuff. I gave him all my notes. So Jamie said, man, kid, you've got good notes and you seem talented. Like, why don't you go to King of 2 Mile? I said, Jamie, and what, make a fool of myself? I've never shot before. And I just started reloading.
Oh no, we'll take care of that for you.
So, I mean, I guess the thanks goes to Jamie Barkwell at Cadex, but he conned me into going to King of 2 Mile. He said, you'll meet a bunch of good guys there. They're all good shooters. You can learn from them. Doesn't matter if you hit a target or not, Luke. Just go down there. You'll love it. And I love shooting. Absolutely love it. So I thought, why not? And my wife said, yeah, you know, I agree. Give her, go down there, have fun. So I went down. I signed up for the ELR training camp. That was a couple days, obviously, before King of 2 Mile. And that literally, thankfully, brought my brass and the barrel through that, you know, early stages of needing to be broke in. And then the brass wasn't virgin brass anymore. I came home for the 2 days between that ELR training and King of 2 Mile, resized all my brass, checked it all over really well, actually changed my load development a little bit because I didn't like what it was doing even in the ELR training camp, and went out, shot a few rounds out at home here where I do my testing, just fairly close range, and thought, oh, it's actually shooting good now. Literally went back down there and the rest is history. So if you're, I mean, yeah, the rest is history. So you want to get into how I handle the wind, managing the wind readings and stuff?
Sure, we could do that. Yeah.
Okay. So again, yes, I'm very new to all of this, but I've spent an insane amount of time studying everything to do with ELR because I wanted to at some point. I wasn't planning on this year, but a few years from now, going to an ELR competition like King of 2 Mile or something. So I owned a Kestrel for, you know, all this summer. Like I bought one this spring, and every time I got out of my machine, lunch break, all the time, mornings I'd get to work, I was guessing the wind velocity and checking it with the Kestrel to see how accurate I could get, as well as temperature, humidity, all of those environmentals. I would guess them like all the time, and then I would check it on the Kestrel and see. And that literally, I trained myself with my Kestrel, not shooting, not doing anything, just every day, all the time, training myself with my Kestrel to be able to read the environmentals. And that helped a lot. And then I went to the ELR training camp, had a few of like you guys knowledgeable shooters, just taught me a few things on the Kestrel that I didn't know that it could do, kind of got me up to speed on just some small stuff, and thought, well, that's cool. And I utilized that information. And as far as when I was actually up on the firing line, guys, shooting, yes, I'm an absolute rookie and total novice, but that training I did by myself, you know, at work, trying to read environmentals, I would say that actually obviously worked. It helped a lot.
Okay, so for you, like
The
aside from
rifle
Chris,
must have done its part too. I mean, that thing was, like I said,
for sure.
When I had them 2 days between ELR training camp and King of 2 Mile, I went out and shot a few, it was 10, 12 rounds or something is all, but it literally had settled down. The barrel at that point had exactly 200 rounds on it. The brass was on its second firing. So it literally settled down. My velocities quit climbing, and I made some incredible groups. It was close distance. Like I do my testing at 100 meters, but I made some just insane, cool little groups with those 12 rounds and thought, my goodness, this is going to be fun. At least it's shooting now. So yeah, I went back down to King of 2 Mile, and it shot well.
Okay, can you hear me, Luke?
That's the story, guys. That's how she ends.
I don't think he hears the thing.
I don't think he's hearing me. Yeah. Can you hear, Luke? And unresponsive. Well, this is going to get awkward now.
Well, at least we can hear him.
What's your all take on that?
So we are.
Yeah.
Can you hear the words that are coming out of my mouth?
What the hell's going on?
I think he might be
still
delayed.
Up here, guys, or did I cut out?
Yeah.
You are.
Okay, I'll text them here.
Yeah, send him a text. We'll have to get back to Yukikazi's question, which I'm sure everybody wants to know. Oh, he just died. He's dead. I say he did. Hey, let's talk to Super Steve.
What do you want to know?
What did you guys build him anyway? Did you build him a KDEX?
No. That was, I believe that was one that got somebody couldn't afford it, so it got sent to, we sold it for KDEX instead.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Oh, I see.
I think that's what I'm talking about.
His enabler.
Say that again.
I think you know who we're talking about, who we repurposed that rifle from. The 300 PRC.
I don't know that I do, but
yeah,
I'm not aware of the story. I might know the person. I'm not aware of the story.
So what?
At least I wasn't paying attention.
What action is the enabler built on?
Is Luke
CDX40?
What? Sorry.
CDX40.
Okay, so it is a KDEX action.
Yeah.
Okay. For some reason, we're not.
Shane's comment now.
We're not getting
now
anything
you know who
from Luke.
Kirk.
Oh, Luke is muted. Luke, unmute. Can you hear us? You're muted. You're muted.
You're muted. You're muted.
Can't work a computer.
You're muted. You're muted.
Mute. Houston. Mute.
He's gone. Done. Hey, we got a solid 29 minutes out of him.
You know what? I'm sick of that guy anyways. Coming in, fucking rookie, winning King of 2 miles.
Yeah.
God damn it. Like I need help losing. Jesus.
Yeah.
There he is.
We're back.
There he is. You might just have to reset
Can you hear
every
us?
20 minutes.
Yeah, no, I can. I exited out of the group and entered back into it.
Perfect. Okay.
All right.
Let's go back to this question here. Yuka Kazi wanted to know, did you hit a target at 2 miles?
No, sir, I did not. And yeah, no, I didn't. Mr. Furlong said my first shot was the closest one out of the 5 that I had for that target, but I didn't hit it.
So how exactly, because I haven't been to a King of 2 miles, how does the scoring work with that thing?
Oh, brother.
It's very convoluted.
Is it?
Yeah.
So you can win, obviously you can win without hitting the furthest target, which is 2 miles, right?
For sure.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
It's an accumulation of points like most other damn games, right?
Right.
But each target has a distance and a multiplier. So depending on whether you hit the shot first, second, or third, like let's talk round robin, right?
Yeah.
You get 3 shots at each target at each different range, and depending on which shot you hit the target on, there's a multiplier tacked on to the distance, which somehow gives you the points results for that. You know what? Honestly, each time I've gone there, I've like, I just want to hit fucking targets and they'll tally up the points and I don't give a shit how they get there. So, but really.
So is this,
I heard,
is this something that a scoring system that King of 2 Miles Canada shares with King of 2 Miles, or
it is. It is official King of 2 Miles Association or whatever you want to call it rules across the board.
So they just made it as complicated as they possibly could.
No, whatever. It's I mean, instead of seeing 7 points on the board for a shooters go in round robin, you'll see 11,340.
Really?
It just sounds cooler. Yes. True. True story.
It's like you guys are doing a rifle competition in pesos.
That's right. Yen.
How many MOA is that? Convert it to MOA for me.
I'm sorry. Computer malfunction.
Oh, poor Luke, man. We bring him on the show, and we're
gonna have to bring him into the studio.
Yeah, which studio?
I'm not sure.
He should have made the drive up to Super Steve's place. So half mile snipers got a mile on record several times. Just okay. I don't know exactly what that means, but I have a question. I saw a screenshot while you guys were at King. What are we calling it? King? Are we calling it 2 miles? We're calling it Ko2M. Like, what are we calling it here? Whatever. Yes. Okay. So I saw a screenshot, and I think there was a column for the cold bore hit. Correct?
Yes.
That's correct.
Now, only one person hit the cold bore on day 1, and that was it Marlene? Marlene. Okay.
Maureen.
Anyway. Maureen. Okay.
Yes.
And on day 2, did Steve land a cold bore hit?
He sure did.
Look at you, Steve.
And I believe somebody else did also.
It looked like it. Who else hit it on day 2?
Pretty sure it was Rooster, wasn't it?
Was it?
Yep, I did.
What?
Because
it was 1,290 meters, right?
Yeah, 1,290. It's because we're very meticulous and we paid attention to our drop in velocities on a cold bore.
But the thing is, Steve, you're right in that. However, as stereotypical males, we're very meticulous once.
That's all we needed.
Because we both hit that cold bore, that 12-inch fucking round plate at 1,290 meters, cold bore,
and couldn't hit fuck
and then
all.
Beyond that, it kind of fell apart.
Yep. Yep.
But it
Well,
was kind of an interesting thing for Chris and some of the audience members that don't maybe realize is that very often rifles will exhibit uh, a different velocity for that initial cold bore shot, especially if the rifle's clean. But it still happens on a cold bore where the velocity, in my particular case, um, with my 33XC, that guy back there will very reliably fire the first shot out of a cold barrel at 30 feet per second slower than subsequent shots. So knowing that, you can adjust elevation for a given distance,
Yeah.
which will also affect
so
your windage
what kind of a
calculation as
what
well.
kind of distances do we really have to worry about, like a 30-foot per second difference?
If you're standing out in the field in front of me and I have intention, is that what you're getting at? Or
No, no. I was actually asking a technical question, but
sorry.
by all means, threaten my life suddenly. It's fine.
So for my rifle, I found it was about 2/10 difference with that 30 feet
Yeah.
per second
Two tenths of what?
a mil.
A mil.
God damn it, Steve.
I know. I got coerced into it, Chris.
So help me out here. Let's just say at like 1,300 meters. That
So-
that 2/10 mil, whatever. How many inches of drop are we talking about here?
It'd probably be about 8 to 10 inches.
No shitski.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what makes or breaks this whole competition is knowing this information and keeping everything as flat as you can for velocities.
Yeah. Well, that
100%.
really surprises me that the difference at the muzzle of 30 feet per second can make 3/4 of a foot of difference at a mile.
Oh, sure. You think
Wow.
about that, Chris, and that's like in my case, it's a 300 grain bullet traveling at that cold bore shot would be about 3,150 feet per second.
Yeah.
That's zipping along pretty good, but I mean gravity's fairly strong. In Steve's case, it was a 400 grain bullet at 29 and a bit.
Yeah.
So your velocity starts dropping the moment it leaves the barrel.
Yeah.
And gravity starts acting on it immediately. So it's there's physics that go into it. It's kind of neat to know that shit. But it's with all the high BC bullets that we have available to us, it almost makes things seem like some sort of magic when somebody comes out with a new fantastic bullet and it'll buck wind and whatever else the marketing and propaganda says. But still at 1,300 meters, which is just really for these rifles kind of a short poke.
Yeah.
But keep in mind it's a small 12-inch target. They're still at 1,300 meters. There's, what did you say, Steve? 12 inches drop or 10 inches drop or something like that.
I figure about 8 inches. And
8 inches. Okay, sorry. I always get confused between 8 and 12. It's, I don't know. It's been a lifelong thing for me.
Yeah,
We're not talking centimeters here, Rooster.
But yeah, so I mean, you think about it, like that target was a 0.8 MOA. So to make that shot, I think is something to be said. But there's some quality and some effort there.
Yeah, I just never would have guessed that something as small as 30 feet per second. So let me ask you a question. What sort of extreme spread are you getting? Not necessarily from cold bore to warm bore, but I mean, let's say you fire 10 shots. What kind of an extreme spread are you getting?
So for my rifle, I had the speed tracker on it through the ELR cam, and I was seeing about 18 to 22.
18 to 22. Okay.
Yeah.
That's pretty consistent though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and mine, aside from that cold bore, you take that cold bore out of it, and you take the spreads over the next 8 to 10 rounds through that thing, and I was getting around 17 feet per second extreme spread.
Sorry, say that
So
again.
I was getting around 17 per second extreme spread with my load. So it was pretty consistent. Like I would rather, and Steve's the same. I'm sure Luke is the same. We'd rather see those extreme spreads down around 10 at the most, but it's pretty tough to get there. Luke, what did you end up with for average velocity, if you care to mention it, and your velocity spreads? What did you settle on?
My velocity it kind of peaked with the load that I chose to run at around
Yep.
2,915 feet per second. And it
Okay.
actually
Yeah.
slowed down a little bit after that 200 rounds to about 2895. So it literally came down a little bit. Yeah. And whether that's normal for other barrels, I have no idea. It doesn't really matter, but it came down. And my extreme spread there was the odd outlier, and I was running around 20 extreme spread, but my SDs were about 5. They were hanging around 5. So there was outliers of 20, but
Sure.
the SDs were good still.
Jesus, I'm glad you guys are good at ELR because I don't have the OCD for it. I don't think.
Kurt can help with that.
Kurt can help with that.
Listen, I know my limits. I'm aware of that, and I'm quite happy to let Chris do the things he does. He's good at what he does. When he's ready, he'll come to me.
I don't think that this is a matter of desire even. I mean, everybody would like to shoot, 2 miles or further. I think this is literally a matter of every time I try to load 10 rounds, my brain goes to meow, 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 meow by the time I'm on the third round.
So you'll fit in with the rest of us.
Yeah.
Apparently I have CDO.
Yes. You don't.
I'm really waiting for Jens to explain the difference between OCD and CDO now.
Oh, don't send him in a tailspin. Not tonight. Just not a good time.
So I've got I could type this question, but it's for one of our listeners right now. It's for Half Mile Sniper. He was saying he was shooting in the same facility as King of 2 Miles. I'm assuming that's King of 2 Miles in the U.S. What I'm wondering from him is if he's competed in the King of 2 Miles in the U.S. And I know he can't voice answer me, so I don't know why I'm wasting time talking about this. But CDO is alphabetically correct. That makes sense. Okay, let's carry on, shall we?
All right. Sorry, I'm just going
it.
back reading comments here. I haven't been reading them.
Yeah, there's been a little bit of a chat. We got Bending Uke and Half Mile have been
right. Yeah.
Going back and forth here. Yeah, a couple of Johnny Come Latelys. Yeah.
Bending Ballistics with his old philosopher stuff. Gravity is equal no matter the speed or weight of projectiles. Everything falls at the same rate.
So Luke,
what's heavier?
Bipod and everything. What's your rifle setup do you have?
My rifle's a 375 enabler. Well, it's a KDEX complete factory KDEX build, chambered in 375 enabler. I believe Shane ordered, I think, my full build as well as his and Steve's chassis at the same time. I think it's basically the same rifle that they're running with different barrel.
Okay. Yeah. And then what are you using for an optic and ammunition, like bullet, powder?
My brass is the same. It's Peterson. I think that's the only brass you can get right now for it. And the projectile is a Warner Flatline 400 grain. So I probably actually would have used the cutting edge, but Shane, EM wasn't a dealer for them at the time last fall when I had ordered the components right away when I ordered my rifle. So and Shane, you guys are a dealer for the Warner, or he was at the time anyways. I think he still is. So that's what I ordered is the Warner Flatlines, and they're kind of a pain in the butt to get a good consistent seating depth on, but they seem like a good. I read reviews on them in the studies that were done with them, at the manufacturer, they seem like a good projectile, and they obviously fly straight once, you have a barrel, broke in and stuff, and your brass isn't virgin brass, but they are tough. It seems like they're really finicky. Like you move them 2,000 inch different, seating depth, and it literally just throws your group wild. Like they're really, really finicky.
And what are you using for?
Look at these two over here in the bottom right. They're like, I didn't see that. Is
What
that
are you
right?
talking about? How do you know that Steve was doing that? We can't see his whole face. He looks
I know,
like
Steve.
Wilson looking over the fence line.
Hey ho, neighbors.
That's much better. That's much better.
You guys know that I'm fucking short, right? So
It's not short, Steve. You're vertically challenged.
Yeah.
Jonathan, go get him a booster.
They don't have phone books anymore, Kurt.
That's right too. Oh shit.
And what are you running for an optic there, Luke?
Night Force ATAC-R 5x25 by 56. It's a good optic. I like the glass in it. Seems like I've got a bunch of different optics I bought for a few of the other rifles that I purchased last year, including the 300 PRC. I actually put it's a March. I don't know the name. They've got kind of a long prefix on their name, but I've got a really nice, one of the higher end March scopes I got through EM for my 300 PRC. That's a really nice scope. I like some of the functions on it actually better than my Night Force, but the glass for my eyes it's not as comfortable for my eyes. So as much as I love that optic and it's on my 300 PRC, I actually like the glass in the Night Force better, just for, again, my eyes. Like I've had brother-in-laws of mine look through both of them too, and I think it just depends on the person, right?
Yeah.
So yeah,
that was. Sorry, go ahead, Luke. Continue.
I put the Night Force on my enabler just because my eye's comfortable on that glass. I thought about putting the March scope on the enabler, but I thought, man, looking out at those distances, I might as well put something on there that is just comfortable in front of my eyeball, and that's the route I took.
Okay. This is a pretty extensive topic of conversation that weekend. We were all kind of talking about this. Steve, you and I talked fairly extensively about glass quality and perception, I guess. We also talked about the fact that I think where our game is the weakest is in spotting. We can all pull a damn trigger quite well, as far as I'm concerned. It's a matter of picking that bullet up in flight, determining where it's going, and seeing where it lands. That's a pretty big deal. Now, talking about scopes, one guy will look at a Night Force and go, "That's trash," and another guy will be like, "That man, that's the best thing going." Personally, we're talking a lot about spotting scopes, and Mark IV Leopolds. Sorry for those people that are particular about this. Leopolds look really good to me, glass quality wise. I don't necessarily like their choices of reticles in their spotting scopes, but their glass quality looks quite good. Other guys I've read, Mark IVs are absolute trash. I think it is very personal, any sort of optic.
I find the Mark IVs and the Mark Vs to be very dark and chocolatey, if that makes sense. Like there's a brown.
That's interesting. Yeah.
I just bought that Swaro and for a spotter, and there's no comparison. Like hands down, that Swarovski is way better.
Yeah, it's amazing. The glass quality in that Swaro, I had it out today at the range, and it's night and day difference over everything else.
And that has a reticle in it, that one, I'm sure.
Illuminated.
It's illuminated. Wow. Some nighttime shooting coming up.
I mean, it's not a Minox, but
Well, here's the deal, and I know Jens is listening, and he's not going to like to hear it, but I've told him before that, and he's quite happy with the Minox that he has, and um, you know what? We've done some good things with it, but I cannot get that thing to. I've worked with it, and it's uh, I've managed with it, but it does appear to be a little bit dark to my eye.
Yeah.
And I know damn well that when Jens has been on that Minox spotting scope, he has it adjusted how he needs it to see best, and does well with it. When I get on it, I have to make a whole bunch of adjustments and
I'll bring this
to get it
Swaro
to
out next
function.
time. I'll bring
Say
this one
again.
out. I'll bring this one out the next time I come shoot with you guys and
Yeah, for
try it.
sure,
You'll,
for sure.
you'll
Yeah.
want one.
So that makes things tougher for a team situation, especially the spotting scopes, right? Where you're sharing equipment, and one guy's happy with one piece of equipment, the other guy's maybe struggling a little bit with it. It can make things a bit tough that way. But personally, I think I'm starting to investigate other options for spotting scopes to see if we can try and up our game a little bit there, because like I said earlier, I'm convinced that the weakest part of our game is spotting.
I agree. Like that's where I suffer the most is trying to catch trace to see where
Yeah,
that shot's going. So
man,
I
it is
haven't been
tough.
behind this one, uh,
Yeah.
behind the shooter yet. But come next spring, I'll definitely go through it and see. But you know
So
the
so
cost of them is so prohibitive. Like
it
brand
is.
new, this one was over $6,000, and it's just like, how do you
Right.
afford that on top of everything else?
Well, you just got to have that conversation with the kids and say, sorry, you know what? You only get lunches every other day for the next 7 months.
Yeah,
It's really that simple.
yeah,
Isn't that
yeah.
why macaroni and cheese was invented in the first place?
Well, I think so. I think so, especially
That's
the dollar store brand.
I've got 6 kids, so lots of mouths to feed.
Good Lord, Mac.
Oof. You're not even using the Kraft Dinner brand then. You're on like no name brand mac and cheese.
Fucking Luke is trying to start a goddamn ELR competition
I'm-
just for his family.
Right? Well, 4 of them, the oldest one's only 10, but we'll say the older 4 came down with my wife there and showed up at the morning of the finals after it was over, said and done with. My wife and kids actually showed up there, and not having any idea that I had won. They came in there and we're all standing around and everybody's kind of giving congratulations and stuff. And then I guess they talked to Rob Crawford, and he said, "Yeah, your husband just won this thing." And she was like, "No."
No, he didn't.
Get out of here.
I am
It's
curious
pretty cool.
though. How, with 6 kids, how did you afford 2 of those rifles? Did you used to have 7 and you had to sell one?
Right.
He's just laughing
Listen,
it off, but
Yeah,
he's like,
There
oh,
there
shit.
are sacrifices that have to be made.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's I don't know. I
His
mean,
name was Timmy.
yeah. No, we've been conservative, my wife and I, since we got married, with our money, trying to just save up for whatever. I've neither one of us have had a hobby of any sort or traveled at all. Fairly busy with the 6 kids, right?
Oh, sure.
So yeah, I don't know. It was just last year, and my wife said, "Man, our boys are growing up. The oldest is 9 last year." She said, "You got to find a hobby, something you can do with these kids, other than just always being gone working." So that's literally what sparked. I thought, you know what, rifles, I can take them out in the evenings after work. I don't need to leave home or anything for it. And it's something I can do with my kids. If I had bought a quad or a side-by-side, you end up going with buddies or whatever, and your kids don't go, and you're leaving work or for a weekend, right? So that's how I got into the rifles last year. I thought, my wife's right. I want to be able to spend time with my boys. They're growing up, to have a hobby, something I can do with them. And my oldest boy was actually is my spotter basically. I mean, I'm usually shooting. He does sometimes, but since I've started into this last year, he goes with me every single time I go out shooting and is always spotting for me. Like I actually asked Rob, I said, man, what's the age limit for a spotter at King of 2 Mile? Because my spotter's only 10. But
Did he spot
Uh,
he didn't spot for you at the competition?
no,
Yeah.
I was paired up with a young fella, Kyle Yu from Ontario. I've never met him. Shane, I guess EM knows him.
Okay.
But I was introduced to him down there at King of 2 Mile. You know, the morning of the competition is when I met this young man, and Rob paired us together.
See, I just kind of assumed that everybody went to that competition as a pair. I guess obviously that's not the case.
Typically, I think they do. Yeah, I don't know. I had nobody to sign up with, so I just signed up solo.
Man, as though your story wasn't enough of an underdog story.
no shit, hey.
There's a whole story behind Kyle Yu though too.
Oh, God.
Well, that should be told.
Do we want to hear about it?
I don't really want to. I don't want to talk about it. But
He'll dangle the carrot, but
yeah,
Right. Yeah. Oh no, I can't. You know
my
what?
battery on
There
my
were
phone-
3 people there that didn't have that weren't part of a team, right?
okay.
I think it was Kyle, wasn't it? Luke,
Yep.
and also Terry Gross.
Yeah.
And that was out of
those 3.
that was
didn't
out of
come as
what
a
was
team.
it 24 or 26 teams or something you said?
Well, it was 45 total shooters.
So like 23-ish teams. 22 and a half.
21 teams probably.
22 plus 3.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Right.
I guess
Sorry,
that
yeah,
would make
21
sense.
teams. Sorry, Luke, you're better at math than I am, apparently.
You're usually the math guy, but you're everywhere tonight.
Yeah.
You're telling people in the chat that 2 miles is 2.3 kilometers, and made me second guess
Cut me some
myself.
slack.
You notice how I was like immediately, I say 3,200 meters, you say 2.3 kilometers, and immediately I'm like, oh no, I suck. Listen to Kurt.
I'm as,
Turns out I'm right.
Scattered and dyslexic.
Yeah. So is this what Jens says? Kyle, you will never get a rental car in Alberta.
Oh, so that's another story as well.
Did he open a vein in the back seat of the car or what?
No, he might have taken out a cattle post.
the cattle gate. Yeah.
With the door?
No,
Or
in front of his car.
well, that's just funny. I hope he got
Let's
insurance.
just say a young Torontonian
Never
on the
saw
prairies, never seen a gravel road in his life, I don't think, was following much too closely behind someone on a gravel road. And yeah.
And then they hit their brakes and he went into the.
He was presented with a choice, and he took the ditch. And there just happened to be a post there.
He probably chose wisely.
I probably did, yeah.
Yeah. That's
yeah. Well, anyways, yes, Kyle was my spotter, but
obviously a much better wind caller than a driver.
So kind of go through that dynamic for us a little bit, Luke. You know, we've talked at length before on these podcasts about shooter spotter language, communication, all that kind of stuff. You get someone like Kyle, who I think is still a little bit green. Correct me if I'm wrong, Steve. I think he is, though. I think he does fairly well for the experience he has. But coming to a competition like that and being paired with someone that he doesn't even know, how the hell did that go? You know, with that communication on the line. In you know, first of all, were you paired up with him for the round robin portion of things?
I was paired up with him right away. Starting day of King of 2 Mile. He wasn't there for your training camp. So we were immediately paired together as a team. He was drawn to shoot, as my teammate day one. And so we went up in the afternoon, late in the afternoon, day one, and then it was my draw on day two for shooting. But again, Kyle and I just met. I've never shot really with somebody besides my son, and he just calls out my misses by target size. We don't have a reticle in my spotting scope or nothing. So I was doing the wind calls and whatever for Kyle when he went up. Like he's never used a Kestrel, and I was fairly green on one too, but at least I've used mine a lot for, like I was saying, teaching myself about how to read the weather and whatever. But he literally just picked up a Kestrel in Calgary on his way out there, and Shane kind of set it up for him, and then I went through there and adjusted some stuff for environmentals and whatever, and then I held Kyle's Kestrel as, I think, probably, I'm actually too green to know what you guys do, but from what I've seen, the spotter typically will have the Kestrel. You're looking through the spot and scope, you're making wind calls and all that. So I did that for Kyle because he said he's never ever used one, and I thought, oh yikes, man. So I was spotting for him. I had his Kestrel. I gave him all his holdovers and wind corrections and everything. And then when day two came and it was my turn to shoot, again, just not knowing Kyle and knowing that he's never used a Kestrel, I was worried about him doing the same for me. So I made my own wind calls and had my Kestrel up there with me and all my own notes. I just asked Kyle to try to see if he could spot my misses or hits and just let me know. That's what I had asked him to do for me when we went up. So day two, my day of the preliminary, firing of preliminary rounds, he wasn't actually able to even spot my misses or hits. He was just too green at everything. So he came over after he was out at a barbecue or whatever. He came to my room, the hotel room that night, and I gave him a bit of a crash course on what I knew about trying to spot misses and what to look for. So that helped him quite a bit, because then on the finals, he was actually confirming my misses and whatever in hits. Like he actually could pick it up and see it, but still I still wanted to have control of my own environmentals and my wind calls and everything. So I was still doing all that on the finals, just like I was, day two when I shot.
Right.
That's just because, like, Kyle and I are both green, but he never even used a Kestrel. He's never, at least I've been studying environmentals at work, right? I mean, that was kind of my story I gave. I was at least studying that a lot, and I figured, man, I mean, he's never even studied it. He's never even used a Kestrel. So that's why I wanted to do my own wind calls and everything on the firing line. But Kyle did improve just from, day two spotting for me to the finals. He actually did figure out, okay, this is what I'm looking for, and he picked it up, and that helped a lot. But yeah,
clearly you guys did make it work.
Oh yeah, no,
very clearly.
Well, yeah, it did work. I mean, I'm still baffled. We probably all are that, a young rookie came in and took home first place. I don't know. Still to this day, I don't know really how to explain that. I mean,
what we say in hockey in Canada here, it's even garbage goals go on the board. So it just doesn't fucking matter.
I'm wondering if you've been near any crossroads with violins lately, or it could explain it. That's a Devil Went Down to Georgia sort of reference.
No.
I got it.
Didn't you get 6 hits out there, Luke?
Pardon me?
You got 6 hits out there, right?
On
you had your damn kids behind the steel with a hammer.
That's yeah. Okay, I see your point there. Yeah,
that's where the 7th kid went. He's still out there somewhere.
Like I said, guys, my wife was down there on the finals, right? Yeah, the kids were behind the target. Yeah, you're right, Steve. Oh, I guess I've been had at it here, guys. That's I hear my secret's been spilled.
Well, I haven't read the rule book, but I doubt that it says anything about having children with hammers downrange.
No, I couldn't find anything.
I mean, the game is meant to be played, right?
That's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
So take us through day three, the finals there. Um, okay, so going back now, we talked about this a little bit about what your strategy was, how you called that wind, because as we all know, like that culminating point with these ELR rifles, way the heck out there, is rather large. It's in the order of 300 plus feet where that bullet reaches its apex in the arc, right? So
Yeah.
we're dealing with several different winds out there. I'm gonna say it, and might sound like a whiner to some, but you had some pretty good winds, fucker, that earlier on that day. But you still had wind to deal with. Now you did some things with your sort of conventional wind calls, what you would get off your Kestrel from around, in behind the firing line and that out in the
Yep.
parking lot before you went up to the line. So you got your initial data there, but knowing that those winds were going to be different way the heck up there in elevation, what did you end up doing then versus what your Kestrel showed you on the ground?
So what the Kestrel shows a guy, and I've never shot that far. Okay, it's different. Your
Yeah,
Kestrel, what
yeah,
it
just
tells you,
fucking tell us the
yeah,
story. I don't want to hear your
no,
bullshit.
literally at a kilometer, the Kestrel gives
Yeah,
you a proper holdover for the wind. At that distance, I
sure.
knew it would. There's wind gradients, and I've listened to Emil Praslik as much as I can and Brian Litz.
Right.
Literally, I
Yes.
thought, okay, you know what? I've never shot through these so-called wind gradients, but I figured it's a lot. And these guys, I mean, if you try to learn from them, they'll tell you it's several times what it is on the ground. So I literally
Right.
looked at my Kestrel and thought that's literally way off. I'm going to multiply that by approximately 3 for insane wind gradient, and that's literally what I did. So it was an educated guess, but it was a guess,
Right.
a good one, I guess. So
I would say so, Luke. Yeah.
um,
I would say it worked out for you.
that's it. It's straightforward. Like there's nothing. I don't know that there's anything else you can do, guys. I'm new to it,
Well,
but
yep.
that's all I did. It did work. There's not much else to say. I mean, it literally
Oh,
was an educated guess.
that's good. And you know what? Most of us get caught in uh, I think most of us get caught up a lot in technology and what we have in our hands, right? And the Kestrel right now, even if I go like this, okay, I get as
Yeah,
high as I can with that damn Kestrel, and it's giving me 8 mile an hour from 8 o'clock, and it gives me this solution. Okay, we're good to go. And like you say, honestly, that's good out to a kilometer, maybe 1,600, depending on
yeah.
what you're shooting, right? And we don't necessarily have to worry about the jet stream, let's say. That's a little extreme, but
No, I know what
with
you mean
this
though.
ELR thing, yeah, beyond 2,100 meters, man, things are so much different. And what reliable way do we have, um, especially in competitions like this, uh, to get any firm data? There is no firm data. Let's be honest, right?
Practice. That's the
It's
only
all
way.
a bloody guess. But
Yeah,
if you, I think your approach is fantastic. That you just multiplied it twice or three times, and let's say that it's going two or three times as fast up there as what I'm seeing down here. It's as good a guess as you're going to get, an educated guess, right? And go with that, see where the bugger lands, and correct from there. That would
that's really
fantastic as far as
that's
I'm
all a
concerned.
guy can do. I think. I don't know, guys. I'm not sure what
Yeah.
the pros would actually do. I mean, well, you guys are the pros. I just
Oh
showed up.
fuck, I don't know about that. Yeah.
I've never shot in stuff like that. I've never shot those distances, right? It's just literally,
It's a
but
different world.
I knew that there was wind gradient. I have studied everything I can find on it. Like I said, Emil Praslik, Brian Litz, those guys.
Yeah.
And I don't know what else a guy can do. I mean, they have said too, Brian Litz has said himself, the military has been trying and trying and trying to find a way to actually put a number on those wind gradients. You can't,
Right.
because
No.
sometimes that air is actually not even traveling the same direction when you get that high up. So again, my so-called
Exactly right.
educated guess could have threw me way off in the wrong direction. Hey,
Right.
guys, got to remember that.
So do you recall, so your Kestrel reading, the calculation that you got from your Kestrel, from the ground for the distances we shot, what did it start at 2,200 and something on day 3?
Yeah, it was. I don't know
Something
the
like that.
exact number, guys. It was
I
22
don't.
and change. Yeah, and it went out to
Sure.
31 and change.
Okay, do you remember what your wind call was? Because I think at the time you shot, it was somewhere around 4 mile an hour, from about, uh am I correct in saying it was about 10 o'clock or something like that? Wind direction? I can't remember
Yeah,
which.
no, I think it was about that 10 o'clock area. Yeah, earlier in the morning it was actually coming from around 8, but it had switched a bit.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it did.
Guys, hold on just a sec. We're getting some feedback. Are you guys getting that feedback?
Yep, I'm getting strange static.
Oh, it was Steve.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry, carry on. It sounds like it was Steve, and he dropped out.
Okay.
Okay, so do you recall what your initial wind call would have been from the ground?
My wind call on the Kestrel for the furthest target was I believe it was 2.3 or 2.4. It honestly wasn't much. I was in a 10 kilometer an hour. I use kilometers an hour, but I was at the time I was shooting. I figured I was about a 10 kilometer an hour wind. At that point, I'm not using my Kestrel anymore. I'm just trying to read. I can read Mirage pretty good and the direction. So I literally thought, you know what? It's 10 kilometer an hour. It's coming from around 10 o'clock. You're right. Yeah. And that gave me.
So it's about 6 mile an hour.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it didn't change much from early morning. Just the direction did a bit. Right. So that was 2.4, I believe, is what the Kestrel gave me, and I held exactly 7 into the wind, 7 mils. So that's approximately 3 times. And again, I didn't hit the furthest. I obviously engaged targets out to the furthest one. I wouldn't have gotten a chance to even shoot at it. But I asked Rob and them later, because I wanted to be able to take notes after it was all over. I asked them if they saw my misses out there at the farthest target, and Rob said your first one just about hit. It was right off the right side. So basically, I mean 7.1 would have been a hit. Right. And that's crazy to think, right? Like the Kestrel's given me a number like 2.4 and I held 7. It is a guess, guys, but
yeah. So I'll tell you, when Jens and I went up there, I was shooting, he was spotting on day 3, and we didn't make a hit. We just could not see. So the wind came up and the goddamn Mirage came up like crazy. I know this sounds like I'm making excuses, and I kind of am. But things changed like at the tail end of the previous shooter's string, and through hours, things changed pretty drastically. But our initial wind call, I think, was around 4 mils for that 2,200 and some meter target. And where we got feedback from Rob's crew afterwards that we tried all the way out to 7.5 mils left wind hold at that target. And at one point we tried 6.5. And Rob's crew spotted a miss just under the target, dead center, he said, at 6.5. So our initial of 4, the reading that we got on the ground just before we went up to the firing line, was out by that much. So that's all that wind gradient.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Way up top there. Yeah. So it's wild. It's and the thing is, I keep kind of pounding on this topic about being able to see the bullet, see the splash on the ground when it gets way out there is so critical, because we couldn't see a damn thing. Now Rob's team was elevated a little bit in their shack that they were in. Plus, they have way more experience, really, than we do. Lifelong military snipers and shit like that. They've seen thousands of rounds where we've seen, many hundreds, I guess, maybe. But it was with that mirage and everything, it was so tough for us to see. But that, I guess my point is that the wind gradients, what they do when your bullet is way up there, versus what, like say 10, 12, 15, 20 feet, maybe even from the line of sight,
Yeah.
is a huge difference. And it's tough to account for that. I'm not sure what the best method is. But it's like you say, it's an educated guess, I guess.
I've got a quick question here for you guys from Half Mile
Sure.
Sniper. At 2 miles, well, I guess in general, were you guys shooting east-west or north-south?
North. We're shooting. So it was about 350 degrees, wasn't it?
I got on my compass as well, which is magnetic north. I was getting 320. Depends on the target. They were between 315 to 330 degrees. So
Okay.
northwest.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the best way I would describe that for sure.
Yeah.
Not due north, that's for sure.
No, yeah. I think I would say northwest.
Oh, Jens comes out with 310 is what he
310
was
degrees.
getting.
Okay.
Yeah. There's so many people that ask me, what do you do for this and how do you account for that? I'm like, fuck, I don't know. I have a German for that. that's my Jens.
So,
Yeah, you know what? Half Mile Sniper has a great point there. Sorry, Chris. Again and again.
wow.
All right.
Anyway.
So some serious Coriolis effect on top of everything. Yeah, absolutely. I'm not sure what our solutions say is that correction factor for Coriolis, but it does definitely factor for sure.
Yeah.
Yukai Kazi. Yeah, whatever. Trigonometry. Yeah.
Coriolis is a thing at that distance for sure.
Yeah.
I'm glad that I factored it in through my Kestrel, but having said that, it's an absolute minor detail for the fact that essentially my wind call was an educated guess, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I mean, my
100%.
thoughts of doing a 7 mil left into the wind hold, had the wind been, literally 9 kilometers an hour or 11 kilometers an hour, that would have taken me a full target width off of target. And that's about
100%.
at that distance. I looked it up. I forget the exact number, but I believe it was about half the width of that target or just more. Yeah. So it's not a bad idea to leave that in your Kestrel. It'll do it automatically in your dope.
Right.
So right. I put it in there, but typically at those distances, I would say that almost anybody, even the guys I've watched in the States with King of 2 Mile, is they're doing a couple misses and then a hit if they're doing good. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
So if you didn't factor in Coriolis and you made a perfect wind call, you would maybe be a target off to the side. Well, if you see that miss, you're going to be able to correct and get on target, right? So it essentially, it doesn't matter. But why not?
Well, you know what? It's good to have that knowledge, right? It's good to know that it's there and what value that it has at that particular range, right? But
exactly.
The thing we run into most, especially up here in the prairies, is the velocity of that wind and the value of that wind. That plays a much bigger role. So, out at distance, your Coriolis might account for 0.2 or 0.3 mil at that distance, which, like you say, may very well be half your target or more.
Yeah.
But your much larger factor is going to be wind velocity for sure. Yeah, it's kind of an irritating thing, but anyway.
I guess we have to deal with it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So plans for next year? Running the same thing?
Well, next year, unfortunately, I'm not. If I come, um, yeah, I'll run the same thing. I'll probably come. I mean, I haven't decided that yet for sure. It just depends on life and whatever, right? But
Well, listen, you got to bring the crown back, don't you?
I'm not giving that up. Our RFMA can get a new one. They can build another one. Yeah, we're not giving that
You
up.
mean the paper Burger King crown?
Yeah. Um, no, honestly, guys, I mean, I probably will come back next year, but it's all up in the cards. I'm self-employed. I got a small business, and sometimes I just have to work in the fall. I mean, at any time, but fall is by far the craziest time of year for me. And taking off
Absolutely, yeah.
time to do that was a tough call this fall, and it will be next fall.
Yeah, yeah. It's always the same with industrial type stuff like that for sure.
Yeah.
Everybody's kind of scrambling to get stuff done before that snow comes.
Yeah, no, it's again, I mean, the chances of me going again are very good now because I've had a taste of it, and I guess it was a good taste. So,
Yeah,
um,
I should say so, yeah.
but the issue is if I do go back next year, again, we'll just say I can't go back thinking like, well, that wasn't that hard. I mean, yeah, I struggled and I put a lot of work into it, but if I have the attitude that was actually not as hard as I thought, that's going to be an instant failure, right? And there's no saying, no matter how hard I try and how much
Yeah.
I continue to try to learn, which I'm not, nothing's changed with me since I've won. I just am still trying to believe that it actually happened. But am I going to quit trying to get better at shooting or reading wind? No, nothing's changed, right? So going back, if I show up next year, I have to still be humble. I'm still shooting against a bunch of guys who are way more experienced than me. And I still believe, like I said, when I first went down there and watched all of you guys shoot, day one, before Kyle and I were up in the afternoon, I literally said to myself all day long, man, so much of this is luck. Like a lot of these guys that have been doing this for 20 years are having a hard time in this wind and mirage, and one guy will hit and then they will miss the next target and they won't get on at all. So I literally told my wife that night, this, a good portion of this is luck or whatever you want to call it. It's tough. Those conditions can be very tough.
Well, I'm telling you, the variables that are present out there change so quickly, and
Yeah.
I don't know what kind of superhuman you have to be to catch every one. But like our experience on day one, when Jens was up, he missed the. I made an insufficient wind call on the cold bore target, and he missed it. I was able to measure exactly uh, how much he missed by. So
Yep.
I transferred that then to the next win call for scoring target one. And so round number one at scoring target one was a hit, quickly followed by round number two, hit in the same damn place. And then target three, we had a hit. However, it was called back for ricochet. Now, three successive rounds in, I'm going to say, under 20 seconds.
Yep.
And it seemed a bit odd that the first two rounds were bang, bang, precisely where we wanted them, or as near as I could tell. And then the third round skipped in is what we were told. Either skipped in or hit a leg because those flashes will go off
Yeah.
on the target, but the legs on the target frame are steel clad as well. So
Yep.
if you hit a leg, that'll set off that target flasher as well. So whether we did that or skipped it in, I'm not sure, but that was clearly. Knowing the way that Jens's rifle shoots, I did the load development on it personally. I know the way it shoots. To have that kind of change in the span of say 6 seconds, that's what we're dealing with out there, and there's just really nothing you can do about that.
No, there's not. I was doing a bunch of math just writing notes after day one, watching everybody shoot on the what the wind value can do if it switches from a 630
Yeah.
over to a 530.
Oh
So that's
man, that's murder.
yeah, that's murder, all right. So there was
Yeah.
a lot of us on day one were shooting, like especially in the afternoon. The wind was switchy from like noon on through the rest of the day, from 5:30, 6:30, like really bad, and then the mirage was bad. But
Right.
so
Yeah.
I did a whole bunch of different just mock-up scenarios for hours that evening in the hotel, and just trying to get an idea, a grasp on just how quickly you can go from a left hold to a right hold in the values. And then
Right.
also the very moment you go from a left to a right wind, at those distances, I was finding, entering in all that in my Kestrel, letting it spit out dope,
Right.
data for me. I was finding that there was a good 1 or 0.1 to 0.2 mils of elevation change from a left
You
to a right
bet.
wind, because a right
100%.
wind, yeah. So imagine you've got dialed in your elevation and you're good, and you've got a 630 or maybe
Right.
even say a 7 o'clock wind, and you're hitting
Sure.
target, and then it switches to 530. You don't
Yep.
only have to change your wind hold, you literally have to now hold for elevation, just like that.
Yep.
So I ran all kinds of scenarios, like for into wee hours of the night, trying to just figure out just how bad can that affect a guy. And it's pretty crazy what
It
it can
is.
do. Yeah.
Yeah. You measure those targets out there that we encountered that weekend, and they were all kind of in that 0.4 to 0.5 range, weren't they? Wide.
Yeah. They were,
Yeah.
you're right. They were 0.4 to 0.5 wide. And then a lot of them were actually shorter in height.
Sure, they were about 2.5 high.
Yeah, they were.
Yeah.
that's not very high. So my
No.
point of when the wind switches right from left to right value, and you lose a tenth or a tenth and a half of elevation, you got to all of a sudden change, like that can take you off target, right?
Yeah.
It's
100%,
crazy.
man.
Yeah, no, it was mind blowing. Like the stuff that you have to try to pay attention to when you're shooting at those distances and factor in, and then on the fly, when you're up on the firing line, to not get tunnel vision and only be thinking about your trigger squeeze, or only be thinking about the
Yeah.
position or your cheek on the cheek weld or something. Like, you have to still be cognizant of what's that wind doing.
Oh, it's crazy. Like I well, I can imagine, I guess, what you're going through with a green spotter, or a spotter you weren't used to, trying to make your own wind calls and everything else. I've done it before, but never, thankfully, in this event. But I know myself, uh, when I get on target, I'm getting information from my spotter. My field of view goes from this, and I'm kind of working with Jens, my spotter, on what that wind is doing out there, what I can see for grass out there, what I can see for mirage, and then we come up with a wind call, and all of a sudden my picture goes to this,
Yep.
and I'm seeing that target, where my crosshairs are on that target. Am I on the right uh, point on my wind hold and everything else? And looking at that, making that precise, and it's all on him. Jens, you started with the green
You
spotter,
started with a
yes.
green spotter.
Yeah, but I ended up with one of the fucking best in Canada, so shut up.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, no, I know what you mean there.
Yeah.
It's tough. You get behind the rifle, and a lot of things that you were paying attention to are just completely gone from your mind, right? Like, you're literally thinking about one thing, but
it's tough to do all of that stuff
it's
at the
tough.
same time, man.
A benefit that like, if anybody's watching right now, guys, it hasn't, because again, I have never shot distances past a kilometer till I went to this competition. Well, to ELR training, I guess, right before it. One thing that you have going for you, as like me up there trying to do my own wind calls and spotting, and yes, my spotter, he was my teammate, Kyle was behind me, but both of us are rookies, and he's really never spotted. So not bashing him, but I was
Oh.
doing my own wind calls in spotting basically, and he was kind of helping confirm. Anyways, one thing that I had going for me, and we all do, that I realized very quickly was when you're shooting at 1 kilometer doing your own spotting, the bullet hits that target or misses it so fast after you squeeze the
Quickly.
trigger that
Right.
on one of them heavy recoiling rifles, when that thing kind of jumps and it's going through recoil, you'll miss
Yep.
your miss. You know what I mean? You won't catch it.
Certainly.
Now, I found that at those extreme distances, I had, it depends on the targets, right? But it was between like
Yep.
3.5 all the way out to 7 seconds of flight time.
Yes.
So what I found actually hugely beneficial was I had all my notes written down. Each target had its own separate page with pre-made notes on target, bullet flight time, all of that. And I would literally get
Right.
to my next target and I'd say, okay, I have 5.5 seconds of actual time to get, a nice clean sight picture again and be spotting. So I can be the shooter, and then I've got maybe 5 seconds or 6 or 7 seconds to become my own spotter. And that is hugely beneficial. That's something you don't have at a kilometer, or even out to almost a mile with these bigger caliber rifles. They're getting there very fast.
Yep.
But
Damn right they are. Yeah.
over right past that 2 kilometer mark, I noticed that all of a sudden, wow, I actually have time to spot my misses now.
Isn't that something, hey?
But yeah, I'd pull the trigger and then my rifle would recoil and go through that crazy impulse, right? And shove, I'm a light guy too, and it would basically shove me out of the way and I'd kind of scramble back onto my rifle. But then I'd be there again and watching for those misses. And I actually caught basically my misses, but is that because I'm that good at spotting for myself? No, I would say the truth is I had time to do it. After the trigger squeeze and that, internal ballistics happens and then your bullet's in flight, I literally would be like, okay, I got 4 seconds, and I'd get centered back up and watching, and then, oh yes, I caught it. So again, for new people out there that think, well, that's impossible because those distances are so far and you've got all these other things to worry about, that's very true. But the biggest thing for me was my bullet's not hitting the target 1.2 seconds after recoil, like at a kilometer. It's literally 3.5 to 7.
Right.
It's a big help.
Even with the calibers that Jens and I shoot, we both shoot a 33XC. That 33 or that 300 grain bullet is leaving the barrel at 3,180-ish feet per second.
Yeah.
And it's still at 2 miles, it's almost 8 seconds.
Oh my goodness.
Time of flight. 7.6 or some stinking thing. Yeah. Yeah. So you definitely have time, but I'll tell you, like when you talked about the closer distances, like let's use a kilometer, 1,000 meters, and if you're trying to spot your own hits, that your natural point of aim, your fundamentals, truly come into play. And when you have a say a 4 to 7 second time of flight with that bullet, doesn't mean you can kind of relax those fundamentals. It's still important because the time to get back on target, find that target, find the area around it, and identify a splash in the dirt if you do miss, is super critical. And if you're lined up crooked behind that rifle, you have a harder time picking up that impact, right? Whether it's a ground strike or an impact on target, for sure.
No, I mean, I would.
Yes, you have some grace, but it's still pretty damn critical to have to get lined up on that rifle, for sure.
It's tough, yeah. I've worked a lot on my fundamentals. I mean, you can do that at any range, right?
Sure.
You can kind of do that dry firing in a way, but as far as handling recoil, you have to actually shoot your rifle. But I've worked on my fundamentals a lot, and I video myself when I shoot, so I can go back and watch what the rifle's doing to me. And then I also make note of, like, for practice for myself, and guys could learn from this maybe. I make note of how far my rifle is recoiling off to the left side of the target every time I make a shot. I note how far did it recoil, and I've gotten
Right.
it down from when I first started shooting, and I didn't know better. I would recoil at, just shooting at 100 meters, whatever, doesn't matter. It's
Sure.
angle measurement, but I would recoil
Yep.
about 2, 3, sometimes 4, even 5 mils, full mils off
Really?
to the
Yeah.
left. And I started bringing that in, practicing getting so consistently square behind the rifle. I wanted to get to where my recoil off target after that rifle fired, I wanted to be able to get that down to less than 1 mil, and I've been able to achieve that. So that
Yep.
helps a lot with being able to really quickly be able to watch your own mistakes.
That's awesome, Luke. That's a pretty big deal, man. Absolutely.
That's tough to do, but if you're, again, I mean, if you're trying to learn and you're paying attention, making notes, I think making notes means a lot, because if you go out and you shoot a little bit after work one evening, you're tired, and you come back home and don't make notes, you don't remember what happened the next day even, right?
Yep.
Like, if all it was fun and you and your son had a blast. So I would write it all down so that I could go
Right.
back and stew on it and ponder, like, am I getting better? Am I not? What do I need to
Right.
change here? And that did help, like, especially with a rifle like that 375 enabler, I can actually maintain less than 1 mil of movement through recoil off of target. So that's good, but
Yeah.
still at 1 kilometer, I really can't, unless I hit like dry ground or something, I can't really spot my misses at 1 kilometer with that thing, because the bullet gets there so fast.
It does.
That even though I'm not moving off of recoil, like off target hardly at all, there's still recoil and pulse, and that rifle is surging
Absolutely.
in your head. If you watch yourself under video, go back and watch yourself shooting, my head is flung back and everything, right? So it takes a moment for
your neck stretches out 4 inches. Yeah.
Well, yeah. So again, that's one thing that helped me, and I can just speak for myself, but when I saw that those bullet flight times were up over 4 seconds, I thought, this is the only saving grace I have. I will literally become my own spotter, and I actually have time for it.
Nice.
So,
well, that's pretty good. I envision you as the guy, the atypical kind of guy that makes lists too. Because most of us don't keep notes, man. Good for you.
I don't know what other people do. I just know that some of them guys that I've tried to learn from, like I've mentioned, a few guys' names and stuff, a lot of them say the best way to learn is to make notes so you can go back and reference them. So that's what I did right from day one.
Yeah, well, it's a well-known fact, I think, that we as males learn best from our mistakes. So if you can keep a good log of your mistakes, it's always fresh in mind, and you can make an effort to counter those mistakes the next time, right?
Yes, and I have made a lot of mistakes in shooting and learned from them, but it does help to write it down. Yeah, because otherwise you forget about it and you go on your merry way, and you don't know what you don't know then, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, that's pretty awesome, Luke. Thank you very much for sharing all that. That's it's kind of a neat story to hear your progression and everything, and it's very nice to see someone who does have a lot of humility and self-awareness, I guess, win this thing. And yes, I believe that there is a lot of luck involved. Man, don't discard the amount of effort and uh, training that you put into it in the very short time, and obviously it paid off. Hopefully, it does again in the future. I think you're definitely on the right track, and well, you're in a position that I've never been in before. So kudos to you.
Yeah, no, thank you guys very much.
You betcha.
Well, I suppose.
All right, Chris, should we?
You guys have no idea how hard it was for me to shut up for the last half an hour.
Yeah,
You know what? I'm really quite impressed with you, Chris. You're kind of there doing your own thing and knowing your place.
Whew, that was tough. Oh my God. Well, hey, listen, everybody, if you're still watching the show, make sure that you give us a like, give us a thumbs up on all the things. Make sure that you know that you can check us out on our website at bspodcast.ca. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/BS podcast. You can find us on the YouTubes at youtube.com/ at ballistically speaking, because that's a strange URL. And what am I missing? I think that we're also on Rumble. You can find us on Rumble. Just do a search for Ballistically Speaking Podcast if you don't want to be supporting any of the other two platforms, which I can certainly understand. You can also obviously find the audio version of our podcast wherever your audio podcasts are found. They're not necessarily sold.
On KTEL International.
On KTEL International. But wait, that's not all. It's licensed. Anyway, we would like to give a massive thank you to all of our sponsors. Without you guys, we wouldn't have a show in the first place. We are talking about Shane and Steve. We saw Steve earlier today, but the guy doesn't know how to charge a cell phone, so he left a half an hour ago. We're talking about, we saw Shane on comments earlier, obviously. We're talking about Miles, Carrie, and Cappy, Duncan and Rob, Phil Odell, Doug and Nisa, Vanya and Carly, Oscar, and JR at the Shooting Edge. Thank you guys an immeasurable amount. As always, thank you to our listeners. I just saw Jens's comment. I believe he is saying that it's refreshing that I shut up for the last half an hour. I'm going to take that personally. And
now, also before we go, sorry, it looked like Luke also had something to say before we log off.
Yeah, give her.
Yeah, I mean, I'd just like to thank, again, as being a new guy, guys, you guys, everybody, when I went to ELR training camp, everybody there helped me out, eh? So
pretty awesome, hey?
That meant a lot to me, seeing all of those gentlemen there, professional shooters, they were all busy too, right? And they helped me, every one of them, from Rob Furlong and the guys at RFMA to all the shooters, very, very helpful. So a huge thanks to all of them, as well as my rifle dealer, EM Precision Rifles. That is awesome. They've been awesome too. And my wife and family, huge support for me spending a lot of time in the last year. Yeah. So thanks to everybody and you guys.
Awesome.
Thanks, Luke.
Well, we will see everybody next week. What is next week? October 6th?
Should be, yeah. I think so, yeah.
Have we got that lined up yet, or are we still working on that?
I believe we do. Who the heck? Oh, that's Chris and Scobes.
Is that are they ready? Are they good to go? Are they confirmed?
I don't know. I'm sure that what's the worst that could happen? I'm sure.
Yeah, well, I mean, we're looking forward to hopefully having Chris and Scobes on next week talking about NRL Hunter, everything NRL. It'll be another episode that I will do my best to bite my tongue for at least a portion of the show.
Right.
And just shut up and listen, but no promises, obviously.
You're doing so good, Chris. I'm so proud of you right now.
So proud of you. Yeah, well. All right. Well, we'll see everybody next week. And Luke, man, thanks for coming on. And you know, your win next year. I'm just going to call it. We'll have you on next year when you win again.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Right.
I'm gonna kick Scotty Chitchell out of second place, though. Damn it!
Oh, now it's on. Okay.
Yeah.
All
right, folks.
Hang on. Just before we go, I just realized something.
Yeah.
So, first place and second place in King of 2 Miles. First place was a Cadex custom rifle built by a Canadian, custom Canadian rifle builder.
Right.
And second place was taken by another Canadian manufacturer in PGW.
Correct.
So I think what needs to happen next year is, in addition to doing Canadian King of 2 Miles, all of you guys need to go do American King of 2 Miles so that you guys can win with some Canadian made rifles.
I agree.
Horse before the cart, sir.
You're welcome.
For the cart.
You're welcome.
Absolutely. Why not? Big goals.
Big goals. All right, everybody. We'll see you all next week.
All right.
See you guys.
But some of these bullets, as you saw, have an incendiary device on the tip of it, which is a heat-seeking device.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it.
Welcome to your weekly dose of BS, the Ballistically Speaking podcast.